Hello everyone. So today what we're going to be going over is showing a setup of Ghostblade HD in running on an arcade cabinet. For those who don't know, this is a shoot 'em up that came out several years ago, but an arcade version was never actually released for the arcades. So what we're going to show you is how you can get a game like this running in an arcade cabinet. And this method that I'll show you can use for any really any Steam game or anything like that. So we'll go through the steps like that. So the cab I'm showing right now is a Noir clone cab. So one thing to know about this cab is that originally this cab obviously is made for arcade games, but this cabinet, at least the version that I have, came with a JAMA connector and a 720p, 768p monitor, arcade monitor, which is fine for arcade games and anything like that. Generally, the arcade games are created to run at least I should say modern arcade games are really coded to run at 720p, so you don't get any lag or latency, anything like that, which is fine and great for arcade games, especially for games like Street Fighter or Tekken. So which is a little odd for this arcade cabinet is that, as I said, it came with a JAMA connector. Not only most of the modern systems like that, the System 369, 357, your Type X systems, they're JAMA connect. They are JVS connected systems. So with this arcade cabinet coming out with a 720 monitor, but with a JAMA connector, in order to play those games, you have to use a Capcom I/O or some kind of I/O to convert the signals from a JVS into the JAMA connector that's feeding into the arcade cabinet. So this particular arcade cabinet was my first LCD arcade cabinet that I purchased. And it works fine for arcade games like that. But I really, as I got more into arcade games, I just wanted to eliminate the Capcom I/O. So eventually I got systems such as the Vulex and the Sega Press and so on, so forth. But people always ask me, hey, what should be the first arcade cabinet I get? What should I get? And I always lean back to this. If you are a person who just wants to play games, modern games, your PS2, PS3, PS4, PS5, Xbox 360, Xbox Series X. If you just want to play those type of games, but you want to play them in an arcade cabinet, this cabinet right here will suit you well. It's not that hard to modify for things to get stuff up and running in this cabinet. If you're a person that says, you know what, I truly want to play arcade games, I want to play them as they are in the arcade games, then I would say your best bet, just to save you some time, money, and extra stuff, is to get yourself a Vulex or a Sega Press 3, and then it comes built in with that JBS hookup and all your sounds and everything else. And it's just an easier experience if you're just trying to play arcade games. So over the years, this system, this cabinet right here, generally speaking, I really only use it for playing console games or Steam games, or anything like that. That's what I use this cabinet for. Also, this cabinet is great for what I would say, air quote, try before you buy. So a lot of arcade games have counterparts or some version that's like that on a PC or on a console. And so if I can get a console game for like 40, 50 bucks, whatever else, and they have an arcade version, I can get it, try it out here, and make sure I truly like that game, whatever it may be. Maybe it be the first version of a Street Fighter, like Street Fighter 6 when that comes out, or Tekken 7 or Tekken 8 or whatever else. I can try it out here, make sure I truly like the game, I like the systems and everything else. Then, okay, I say I like it. Then I can say, okay, well, I can see would be a good game for my collection. I would enjoy it. then I'll spend money to actually buy the arcade version. As you guys know, the arcade versions can run from anywhere from 9,000, 2,000, 5,000 per game. So it's a great way to try out the games in a arcade cabinet without having to buy the game, to confirm you really like it before you actually do make the major purchase for the arcade game, because the last thing you want to buy is to buy an arcade game for $4,000 and then you kind of find out you don't like it. Then you got to try to resell it and all the other stuff in it. Sometimes there are other collectors out there who will, and you won't lose any value. You can actually sell it for exactly for what you got for. Other times it may depreciate a little bit. So all those things to keep in mind. So in other words, all that's to say is, if you are looking for a cabinet that you plan on just playing console games, um, PC games, stuff like that, this is a good candidate for it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to quickly open up the control panel, because if you're going to do something like this, a couple of things you need. Obviously, for aesthetics, you're going to need to make your own marquee, your own move strip, whatever you want it to be. You're going to need a PC if you're going to go down the PC route, or stream games, and hook that into your monitor. So quickly before I forget, so I'm connecting this PC, and that PC, that's just a case, a cheap case I got some components to put in there, because it matches the aesthetics of that cabinet. But I'm connecting that to the monitor via DVI. So it's just I don't have to do any kind of converter or anything. It's straight from the PC to the monitor, DVI, no lag introduced there. As far as controls, and I'll open up the control panel and show you that in a second. But basically what I did, and there's a lot of ways you can do this, but I wanted a quick do-it-yourself solution where I didn't have to do any soldering. So as you all know, if you've been on the channel for any length of time, you know I collect arcade games, I collect arcade sticks. So what I did was I just took one of the arcade sticks that I wasn't using for anything else, because I have like 2 or 3 for Xbox, 2 or 3 for PS3, same thing PS4, PS5, so on. So I just took an arcade cabinet stick, took the guts out, the PCB, the connectors, and then I just literally just laid that flat in the bottom panel of the control panel there. In all cases, all you do, you're just unscrewing anything, so you don't have to desolder anything else, and just plug them into the SandWire buttons there, and then you're good to go. The easiest thing to do, if you do want to be doing PC games, is you just want a simple or basic Xbox 360 or Xbox Series X arcade stick, and you just want the components out of that, because with that you don't have to do any kind of drivers updates. You don't have to configure anything, because Windows just will just automatically pick that up. So you literally, it's plug and play. You plug in the USB connector that's coming off of that controller and plugging that into your PC, it instantly gets recognized. If you are using, let's say you're not doing the PC route strictly, and you want to do a console. So let's say you want to go and use the Xbox 360 inside your cabinet here, right? Which is an excellent console for using in a cabinet, because you have all of your ports of all of your major arcade games during that series came out on the 360. You can do it for PS4 as well, or PS3. But the reason I bring up Xbox 360 is that it actually came, the Xbox 360 actually had an adapter, a VGA adapter that plugged in to the port on the Xbox 360, and the output was a direct VGA output. So you didn't even have to get any kind of converter or anything like that. It was just it just converted that signal directly to your monitor, which was crisp, clean, and a perfect fit. So definitely, if you're looking for a good place to start, getting an Xbox 360, and there's tons and tons of arcade games on their ports. So let's say you didn't want to spend the major bucks to get the Cave collection for all the Don DePachis, and all the other games that came. Well, all those games came out on a 360. A lot of time they were Japanese versions, but they all came out, and a lot of them were very, very good ports. So you could put your 360 in there, get your cave games, hook it up to the VGA, um, and then you'll be good to go. So let's talk about sound. So another reason when we talk about cabinets, starter cabinets, and cabinets in general, the speakers on the Namco Nyon Nor cab are not that great. I know it's four of them there, but still, they weren't that great when you're just trying to play arcade games. So very on, even though when I was playing like the arcade version of Tekken 6 years ago, I think I have a video for that. You guys can check that out. But even when I was doing that, just playing the arcade version of the game in this cabinet, sound was not that great just coming through those speakers. So early on, I discovered the easiest thing to do instead of rewiring and resoldering everything else, just leave the speakers as they are. But if you notice right under that marquee, you see that black sound bar. So I have a sound bar that can take the audio signals from my PC, from any of those modern arcade games like Type X2 or Type X3, Type X4, whatever, um, or Xbox 360, and output that sound directly through there. So on the list of things you need, if you're going to set this up, once again, you obviously need an arcade cabinet. Your choice of arcade cabinet is up to you, what you want to do with it. You can get any kind of PC. I have a PC that's outside the case. Doesn't really matter. You can get a small one that fits inside. We'll open it up and take a look and see the space you got inside there, inside the cabinet. Um, and I would say the next thing is you want a sound delivery system added onto it. So I'm using a sound bar up top. And as you notice, it's not large, it's not obtrusive or anything like that. It just fits in with the aspect of that arcade monitor there and everything else. So it just looks like it came with it, right? So those are the things I would say you need. And obviously, like I said, um, artwork is subjective and everything else. I always like to, if I'm going to play an arcade game and I'm going to use the marquee up there, I'm just going to put in something just to add a little pop to it. So you can do what you want on like that and however you want to do your marquee. So first thing first, let's open up the control panel so you get to take a look inside the control panel. After we open that up, we'll take a look inside, just a quick peek inside the storage area where you can see I got a system inside there and some of the stuff there. Then we'll boot up the actual the system, the cabinet, and I have it set so that the game actually just comes on automatically. Similar, just like a Type X2 or Ring Edge, they're all based on proprietary versions of Windows, and they just are using, a shell run boot command to just start up the game. So all you need to do for that, in your case, if you're running, let's just say a PC game, um, anytime you install a Steam game, they give you an option to put an icon on your desktop. So just take that option, and after you take that, you get that icon. Just right click, copy it on an icon, and then go to your WinR, your start R command bar, and just type in shell startup. That'll bring up your startup menu configurations, and just paste in that icon. And after you paste in the icon in that folder, just close it. You don't have to do anything else. And the next time you start up your PC, as long as you get everything turned on, it'll automatically start the game for you. So you don't have to do anything else. You don't need a keyboard. You don't need to do anything with a mouse. It'll just start up, similar just how a Type X2, Type X3, Type X4, or your System 357, which is using like a PS4 or a PS3 architecture does. You don't have to do anything. It starts up. So let's just get into it right quick. This is not going to be that long of a video. I just want to explain everything else, how you can get it running, and then we'll take a look at the components, and then maybe we'll do a quick playthrough to the first boss. Nothing long, anything else, because that's not the gameplay part of it. Is not really the part of it. I just want to show everybody how you can take any console game or any Steam game and run it into an arcade cabinet of your choice, and you don't really have to do, well, I didn't do any soldering at all. So kind of plug and play. I'm not saying this is the cheapest method. There are probably other cheaper methods to do all this stuff, but this is just using parts you already got laying around in my case, and just putting it up there and getting it up and running quickly and efficiently. So here we go. Let's get the cabinet opened up and take a quick look. Okay, so as I said, all I did for this in this setup is literally take out the control panel that was in, I think this was an old one of many Mad Catz arcade sticks, I don't know. I got in like a connection, a fury of just collecting Mad Catz arcade sticks when they were doing everything else, and I just took that out of it, literally just unscrewed it, put it in there. I pasted that on some plexi, so it's just not on the base of the arcade control board there. So it's everything. It's not any, and there's no any shorts, anything else like that. That take like 5 minutes to do, and then after that, just plug in the connections from the arcade stick PCB into the buttons on the cabinet, and the same thing for the arcade joystick right there. So it'll be a one-to-one and everything else. And like I said, if you are doing Xbox 360 or just Steam, this is all you need. You don't need to do anything else. If you're doing PS4 and 360, you can do some research. There used to be a lot of arcade sticks that had a dongle on the arcade stick that says you can switch between PS3 and Xbox 360. So if you're planning on playing, putting a PS3 inside your arcade cabinet, you can just get you one of those arcade sticks. They're pretty cheap, and just take the guts out and put it in there, and then you can use that one arcade stick, that one PCB, and switch between whichever console you want, and you don't have to switch out this whole components and everything else to play your different things. So right now, generally, I have this set up for one side does the PC slash Xbox 360. That's what you're looking at right here. But I also, and I need to mount a some plexi on the other one. I just have some styrofoam at the bottom right now. But also down there, I have another control panel or a PCB that I'm using for a PS4. So I'm doing the same thing right there. So one side, left side, if I want to play PS4 games, it's already wired. This side, if I want to do 360 or any kind of Steam PC games, is hooked up. Same principle and everything else. Pretty straightforward. And obviously, like I said, I have plenty of arcade sticks laying around, so it's not a big deal. If you don't have any arcade sticks laying around, you can just go to your local Craigslist, or you can go to your local eBay or whatever else, and you can get a cheap one. You don't need a very expensive one, because for your purposes, you're gonna just gut it and put the components in here. You can save the buttons if you got one that had good quality buttons, so you can save those and use replacement buttons on your arcade cabinet if you want, or you could just gut the PCB out and everything else you want, and you could just sell the actual shell to somebody else who wants to use the shell for modding or anything else like that. So you can be creative and do a lot of things with it if you aren't planning on keeping it and everything else. All right, so there's the that's how you do your control components and everything else. Once again, like I said, no soldering required, just plug and play. And obviously, if you want, I used to take the time before I really could memorize what the purples and all that stuff. I would label them, what buttons A, this is button A or B or whatever else. You can label that if you want, stuff like that. Okay, so let's get that closed back up. Okay, next thing, let's get the, let's take a look. Well, actually, I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and get everything powered up. And while it's powering up, we will take a look at the storage. So to power up the system, it's just like anything else. You open up your control storage, at least for this cabinet. It's in here. Hit your power button. Turn on your monitor. Turn on your PC in this case, since I'm doing it with a PC. And that's going to start up the boot up process there. Right? Like I said, I'm using a DVI connector. So while that's going here, you can see inside that I have a PS4 hooked up, as I said. There's my Capcom I/O right there. All right, the system's already up and running here. I'll probably turn out this light so we don't have so much of a glare. And we'll zoom this in a little bit. Came up nice and fast. It wasn't that long. There's a boot sequence. It booted faster than my Type X4 for Street Fighter 5, that's for sure. So what we'll do is we will quickly, oh, it's got the attraction. Okay, whatever. So we'll quickly do up to the first boss. And we'll probably call this the end of the video. Well, actually, I'll just show you that run command so you'll know where to put your icons at. Then we'll end this up. So let's just set this to the side for a second here. All right, there we go. So once again, just wanted to show that off. Let's get some light back on in here. So there you go. That's how. Let's get this back. So anyway, that's how you can run Ghostblade or any other Steam game inside an arcade cabinet. There you go. Last thing to show is that that command, like I said. So I'm going to adjust this one last time. Let's see if I can get this in here. There you go. So that's the command you need to put in on your run option. And once you put that command in there, just paste in your icon for whatever game it may be, whether it's Ghostblade, whether it's Metal Slug, whatever you're trying to play. You put that in there, just paste it, hit OK, and close out that dialog window that comes up. And then it will start up automatically for you once Windows starts. In this case, if you're doing Steam games, and you don't need your keyboard and mouse at that point. It's going to start up. So I hope this helps anybody out who is trying to play any kind of non-arcade games in an arcade cabinet. Just showing you another way you can do it without using a keyboard and mouse, without doing any soldering or anything like that. So yeah, hope this helps. If anyone has any questions about anything, as always, please leave a comment inside on the video. Leave a comment on the video. I will respond back, get back to you with any questions or answers I can, and I'll have some other videos come out. So please like and subscribe. I will talk to everyone later, and peace.